Let me put my links up in the chat before we begin. I'm going to hit everybody by surprise. I didn't announce this one to anybody. Let's see here. Live chats. Everything's visible. Wonderful. Cool. All right. I get Bido. We're going to begin once we get 15 in here this time. We're being ambitious. Once we get 15 in, we are going to begin, which gives me plenty of time to get everything set up. So I don't know why my little phone holder is misbehaving. Let me do this. Aha. We're going to begin when we get 15 in here. Right now I see 1, so whoever is early in day 1, they will want them. We got 2. All right. We are going to begin once we get 15 in here. I got to run and grab something, actually. I can't believe I forgot it. I'll be right with you. So I see 2 people in here and 1 like. 4 people in here and 1 like. 3 people are slacking. 3 people need to do their job. Let's get 3 more likes in here. All right. 5 people. We're going to begin when we have 15 people in here. Okay. We're going to begin when we have 15. Give me a minute. Have you seen my cola? That cola we just bought. That's weird. All right, I'm not seeing it. Okay, I see it. Okay, I'm back. I'm sure everybody ran off. Oh, 8. Okay, wonderful. Nde wonu. I had to go. I finally found bitter cola in the place that I'm at. So I wanted to break it open here so we can use it to kick off our gathering of the minds. We got 9 people in here. I'm going to begin once we hit 15. Uchechi in the building. Uchechi Nwankwo. Kedukide. Wanne. Uche Chukwu. Uche Chineke. Uche Okike. Uche Ụwa. Uche Eke. Uche Orie. Uche Afọ Nche Nkwo. Kedukide Nwanne. Yeah. All right, we got 12 people in here. We are at 12 people and 3 likes. So let's go ahead and have everybody who has not hit like, go ahead and hit like. Hit the like button. I don't know if it's a bad sign, but things like this used to really stress me out, but they don't anymore. So 8. All right, we're looking good. And we were almost at 15 till that interruption happened, and so we are back down. So it looks like we're climbing back up. We are at 9 to 8. Before we start, let me announce a few things. So first and foremost, Kedu, the summer session for Kedu starts on the 26th. If you're planning on joining the summer session, this would be the perfect time as far as this weekend goes to get registered. Monday is the last day. Did it glitch? Adeze, Kedu. Speaking of Kedu, I think Adeze signed up for class just to air her business out. Yes, it did glitch. I glitched. So I know what I did. I messed it up. So my apologies, but I'm back. But Kedu, we are wrapping up enrollment. The 12th is, no, not 12th. The 26th is the last day to sign up. So if you're interested in learning the Igbo language this summer, I've launched an Igbo language school at www.kedu.me. So if you're interested, go to www.kedu.me. Like I said, this weekend would be the last to sign up. The summer is always a great time to do these things just because for most of us, not everybody, but for many of us, let me say, you're going to have a little bit more free time than you would in the fall, spring, and winter and so forth. So it'd be take advantage of that if you're interested, because it is learning a language is not easy. It's difficult. And therefore, I also understand if it's taking you a little time to register and you've been thinking about it, that kind of thing. It's a major decision to make. And hopefully you have faith in me and us as a team in that, for that decision. You understand? So let's see. I'm very much us overcoming English, but Igbo to English translations are needed as you proceed. Okay, sure. I'll translate things that I say that may not be. Ah, damn it. Hold on, guys. I will translate as I go. I will translate as I go. I don't know why, as far as this. All right, we have hit 15. We have hit 15 people. I hope this thing will stay. I need to get a new one, but I hope this thing will stay. So we have hit 15 people. Kaibido, which is let us begin. All right. So, as always, any proper meeting, according to our ancestors, every proper meeting begins with Iwaji. Iwaji is the breaking of the Oji. The Oji is a class of fruits. I guess I'll call them fruits or nut. This is a nut, so however you want to define it. But it's a class of foods that an individual uses to connect with their ancestors. Greetings, Matifi. Greetings from Europe. Nwanne igade igeto nkobala ine tiaka ogeto no wa ogade no neke norie na fort na nkwo. You say, Matifi, I always appreciate your presence because I know it is not. I know the time where you're at must be brutal, so I appreciate that. But as I was saying, the Oji is the fruit of the ancestors. Is the fruit of the ancestors. Now, why is the Oji the fruit of the ancestors? Well, there's many stories as to why it is. But one of the ones that I'm familiar with and that I personally like a lot is the story of Chukwu's garden, right? And the story goes that Chukwu, and during I can't think, the First World Age. During the First World Age, Chukwu's people, or Chukwu had his people come to his garden. And he asked his people, who are our ancestors, right? Now, at this point, our ancestors did not have corporal beings. They were not physical beings. They were light beings, known as Ndimbu, the first people. Ndimbu, right? So Ndimbu are the first people. They existed between Obi Chukwu. They existed between Obi Chukwu and the world we know today, as the world was being put back together, right? And so the people of this time were light beings able to travel back and forth, not restrained by time, space, or limitation, right? And so he asked them to choose something from his garden, and they chose the Oji, right? Now, when I say Oji, I'm typically speaking about a kola nut. Right? Very specifically, the kola nut that separates into 4 pieces, right? A very matured kola nut that is red and separates into 4 pieces. But any type of kola nut can be used. Now, the interesting thing about Oji, that particular kola nut, is that it is, if you want to learn ancestral numerology, learn what each of those lobes mean, right? So, for example, if you have one kola, if I present you with an Oji, like a one that's supposed to break and it's in one piece, we cannot proceed the meeting with that one. That means nothing has begun, right? Once it's able to split in 2, we can then use that one to begin. You understand? If it is 3, it's called Oji Kenga. We can use that to celebrate. If it is 4, it is a complete and proper Oji. That is a high quality Oji. You save that one for when you're having, guests that you want to impress, right? So the 4 is the complete one, right? If you have 5, it is seen as a blessing, like something good has happened, right? Typically in a lot of communities, if somebody presents a 5-lobe Oji, a second meeting has to be held where they celebrate the fact that 5-lobe Oji was presented. This is back in the day. Everybody got like corporate jobs now, so I don't know if that's going to be as easy as it was maybe in the past, right? Where people were a little more in control of their schedule, or the human relationship was more important than the time relationship, right? What was I going to say? I was on 5. If the OG breaks in 6 pieces, everybody has to go home. There's no meeting. It ends, right? So if we came together right now and we were supposed to speak to each other and have this live, and I broke OG, the one I'd have is bitter cola. It's not supposed to be broken, or it doesn't break. It's not a breaker, right? So if I had a proper kola nut and I broke it and it broke in 6 pieces, everybody would have to go home, right? There's reasons for that. You may get some insight on that in my next video. My next video is called the seven. I don't know what to title it yet. So if you guys think of a cool title, let me know. But it's the 7 rings or the 7 spheres of Mo, right? So your spirit or your auric self has 7 layers. 7 layers. And our ancestors identified each of these layers, their functions and characteristics and that type of thing. And so when you get to the 6th one, you'll understand why everybody goes home if it breaks in 6 pieces. And if it breaks in 7, in some communities you'll have a celebration, right? A second celebration is held, that kind of thing, and then so on and so on and so forth. So that being said, let me go ahead and begin. I heard that kid that keeps saying nah, that's my boy. That's my boy. I got a lot of respect for the young man. You know, he's got the bull in him. But that being said, we buried the hatchet. You know. Oh, that being said, let me go ahead and begin. Right. All that stuff was preliminary, by the way. Okay. Okikekerowa. Ayabiala. Hajikwa Jineke Lengi. Ala wala, ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ, ala mụrụ anyị niile, ala na-enye ndụ, ala na-enye ụlọ, ala na-eji aka abụọ na-enye ihe niile ụwa nwere ka onye ụmụ ya. Anyị ji ọjị na-ekele gị, ji obiọma na-ekele gị, nnọọ ka m na ụfụrụ m, nnọọ ka m dị, aka m dị ọcha, ihu m dị ọcha, obi m dị ọcha, ije m na-aga dị ọcha, mana ụkwụ m dị ọcha, ma anyị na-aga ije Chineke ekere ka anyị gaa n'ụwa. Anyị ji ọjị na-ekelekwe ndị iche anyị, ndị iche ụwa niile, ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ, kelekwe ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ. Mmụọ na-esoro anyị, mmụọ na-enye anyị ndụ, mmụọ na-enye anyị ije, mana anyị nọ n'ụwa ịrụ ọrụ Chineke kere ka anyị rụ n'ụwa. Anyị ga-adị, anyị ga-amụ, nke ọbụla anyị tiri aka ọ ga-adị n'ụwa. Ọ ga-adị nnọọ na eke, na orie, na afọ, na nkwọ, ise. All right, y'all. Yeah, taking Zoom. That type of thing. All right, guys. So today I'm going to be talking. Greetings from Tampa. Hey, what's going on? I don't travel too much, but I have been to Tampa, Florida, and it felt very Nigeria-ish. Ikechukwu, let me see if you can confirm that. Tampa felt Nigerian as hell. I felt like I was at home. There was people selling things outside. And maybe it was the part of town I was in, but there's a lot of vendors selling things in random places. And it reminded me of Nigeria, very much of Nigeria. So today we are going to discuss something pretty simple, right? This one's going to be very simple, kind of straight to the point. And it's kind of a perspective shift, right? Or it won't be for a lot of people, but for some people it might be a perspective shift, right? And that is the fact that there is spirit work all around you happening all the time, right? There is this understanding of religion, you know, due to, I guess, the Abrahamic influence on the world, this understanding of religion as something that is separate from the, what's the term they use for it? The profane world, something like some word that's like on some like blasphemy level. Let's say the material world, right? There's a separation of that. So when I do my church thing, I go to the church and I separate from the actual world, and then I go back into the world, and hopefully I sustain that church thing, and so on and so forth, right? And that has influenced the way a lot of people view spirituality, right? Because the dominant trend of thought that comes close to this space is secular world, mundane world. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so the dominant trend of thought that comes close to this space is the Christian vein of thinking, right? Or wave of thinking, right? And so I say all that to say this, right? when our ancestors, right, when Matifi says, what does Ise mean? Ise is what you say at the end of a prayer, a manifestation, a speech. It's complicated, but in the simplest sense, it is like a confirmation, like you're confirming, you're adding strength to what's being said, you're receiving what's being said, that type of thing. You're adding spirit to what's being said. That's it. There are many Igbos, the Igbos of Tampa Bay Association. Okay, cool. Are you a member? I used to live in Houston, and I'll probably be moving back in the next year or so. But I didn't join any of the organizations except my town meeting, and then like I just kind of stopped going. But one of the things I want to do is start attending the town meetings and the associations more actively now that I'm a grown-ass man, and that is my obligation to do that kind of thing. So when it comes to Odinani Ndibo, right, one of the things I always want to emphasize is there is no separation between the world and the spiritual. There is absolutely no separation. What we end up calling spirituality is our ancestors' take on the makeup and make of the world. It is not a separate thing from the world, right? So Mado and Mo both exist in this space, right? All of those things, it is all one. And that being said, oftentimes because we think it's a separate thing with this very unique look, right? We often make the mistake of thinking that, how can I put it? I'm freestyling this one, by the way, I didn't write nothing. But we often make the mistake of thinking that it has to have this particularly African look to be what we would call nsi, right? Juju is another term. I don't like the term juju. It's a horrible, ignorant, just an ignorant ass term, but it's the most popular one anyway. All medicine, that's another one, right? So we think it has to have this specifically African look, right? Or this identifiably African look in order for us to say that this is Algon that's happening, or juju, or that type of thing. In our language, me doing, oh, interesting. Okay, cool. I've attended a few meetings. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we think it has to have this specific look in order to be juju, right? Algon, that kind of thing, right? And that is not true. Spirit work, there we go. We think it has to have crystals hanging from it and be indigo in order for it to be spirit work. If we want to put it in like US terms and that kind of thing, right? That is not 100% true, right? What we call Ogun, all of these different things, are all of these things I'm talking about. If somebody takes them now and applies them towards doing something, suddenly you have Ogun, you have spirit work, right? If you take all of these concepts and you apply it towards motion, you apply it towards action, you apply it towards getting an effect for some way, somehow, you're suddenly doing spirit work, you're suddenly doing Ogun, you're suddenly doing all of these different things, right? Now, why do I say all of this? Now, one of the things I'll do is I'll identify specific forces, specific spirits. Hey, what's going on? Oh, I really need it. Okay, thank you. So you'll identify specific spirits, specific forces, specific things that kind of exist or share this realm with us, right? And I'll give you different characteristics and attributes for them. And if you are paying attention the way you're supposed to pay attention, be aware, right, that these are not exclusively Igbo concepts, right? They are not exclusively Igbo concepts. So a lot of people come to me and say, oh, you guys have Nemmiri, over here they have Oshun, over here they have this and that and that and this and that type of thing, right? And it's like, oh, sure, that type of thing. And we then put it in an ancient lens, like all these ancient cultures had it, but the modern cultures don't, right? The modern cultures don't. We have a different thing called science, you understand? And we don't do spirit work anymore in the scientific space or with a scientific mind. Well, here is the very funny thing. If you pay attention to a lot of the archetypes I'm describing, go back and watch a lot of the movies you're familiar with. Go back and watch a lot of the commercials you're familiar with. Go back and watch a lot of the cartoons and interactions or the setup of a company or all these different things, the way the entire world is constructed. Go and look at all of those things that I've described, and maybe take the African look, I guess you may have off of it, and you'll see that this thing is happening all over the place, right? Now, the thing we call Ogun or Juju is happening all over the place. That, yes, there is something very interesting about putting a little check mark, right? What is this, an Adidas hat? I wanted to bring this hat out, right? I put, I'll cover the name in case, until they sponsor. But yeah, no, you put this little thing on something. I mean, I bought mine cheap. But you put that little thing on something, all of a sudden, this hat that cost somebody $1.25 to make in Vietnam, somebody's going to be willing to pay $300, $400 for it. And they'll put it on. There's going to be there's a way they're going to feel. And in that way, they're going to feel all of a sudden they're going to go to a world and tell you that Juju doesn't exist, Ogun doesn't exist, and Si doesn't exist. All these things are irrational. Spirituality, it doesn't exist. It's irrational. That kind of thing, right? That type of thing. Take a look around. One of the things the ancients did was tell you that the conceptual or the non-physical shares space with the physical. They're all a part of this world. Everything, Madu and Mo, they all exist in the same space, and we operate in both of them all the time without being aware. And when you are studying spirituality, you are enhancing your ability to see that side of it, right? To see that side of the situation. So the example I typically use is the state of Texas, right? So somebody will tell you that God doesn't exist, but they'll tell you that the state of Texas exists, right? You ask them what the state of Texas is, and the state of Texas is a bunch of people pretending that this patch of earth is a thing called Texas, to the point where they live and die based on it. People have been shot because of that thing, right? People have been burned and killed because of that thing. People spend their entire lives wealthy or entire lives in poverty because of this pretend game that everybody's playing, right? Everybody's coming together and pretending, that kind of thing, right? But that same person will tell you that what can't be verified physically, right? What can't be verified by the five senses doesn't exist, right? Oh, we can't verify that. It's not scientific, so on and so forth. So be aware all of these things, right? If we talk about summoning, okay, we'll use a term like an Arashi, right? So what is an Arashi? An Arashi is a space or a device that has been put together to channel communication or to channel the presence of a specific spirit or force. You understand? So we have the Abara. The Abara are what you would call, well, let me just give you don't forget about that one. The Abara are the forces of the universe, right? So there's water, and then water has a force. And that force is called an Abara, right? Water has a physical form, which is Madu. How do you know all that? Good question, man. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, good question. I don't know. Agon, because of Agon. Matifi, I know that because of Agon, but thank you for your donation. Igade, Igeto, Nyabala Itiri no wa. Ogade. So I know it because of Agon, and I know it because my chi created me to know it, right? So as I was saying, if you look at the world we operate in, right? 50% of what we're operating is non-physical, right? We operate in the non-physical all the time. If you look at the concept of the Arashi, an Arashi is a space or a device put together for the specific purpose of channeling a force, an Abara, for channeling an energy, channeling like the earth. Okay, I want to establish communication with the earth. I erect this Arashi, or I set up this Arashi. Suddenly I'm communicating with the earth. I want to communicate with my ancestors. I set up a space, I begin that communication, so on and so forth. Or I want to set this up so that for generations we can keep a current of wealth moving through this community, right? Many of the Arashi exist for that reason. And then you set it up, and then all of a sudden, people start saying, oh, Igbo people are good at business, that kind of thing, all those things. So you set up these different things, and they do that. And then somebody looks at them and goes, oh, that's not real. It doesn't, that doesn't exist. But the same person will tell you that Amazon is real, right? And that's African spirituality over here, and this is what do you call it? I don't know, good business, right? They'll tell you that Amazon is real. What is Amazon? You can't put it in a cup. You can't measure it. There's nothing. It's nothing. But all of a sudden, this particular spark or thought is animating movement all over the world. It is making products move around. It is making people move around. It is giving buildings specific meanings and making people acknowledge those meanings as much as they acknowledge the physical portion of that building, right? It is a thought form, that was given a name and put into the world to animate a specific type of movement that makes money comes towards the person who activated that thought form, who activated that spirit, right? So when you create a situation, right? So if you create that situation, you say, "Oh, this is Amazon HQ." What makes that different from an Irishi? And I'll take it a step further, right? Because when our ancestors traditionally, when you would start a business or you would go into a craft, you would identify the spirit of that craft and the spirit of that business, right? And you would establish a relationship with that spirit, a relationship of tutelage and respect and homage, right? And that spirit will then guide you towards animating the world the way it is supposed to animate the world for your benefit, right? So consider it like this, or I'll use an example, right? I'm trying to remember if it was Unkwere. I think the community is Unkwere. There's a story in the community of Unkwere about a man who came down from the hills, right? He came down from the hills. If you know Igbo history well, you'll pay attention to a lot of smiths coming from hills, by the way. But he came down from the hills and he was brought there by Chuku. And Chuku instructed this man to teach one of the sons of Unkwere how to smith iron. And once this person taught them how to smith iron, that person passed away. Now, the individual's name was, I want to say it's Ogadazon, but I want to know if Ogadazon is the Unkwere one or the Oka one. When I do the video on either one, you'll know, or that kind of thing. So I'll just use Unkwere for now. So till this day, the Unkwere community is known as an ironsmithing community. And the society which preserves the spirits of Ogadazon is the one that holds the secrets of smithing for that particular community. Now, what was particularly interesting is that I have a document where well, let me put it this way. I think it's on Gistor or something like that. But I've read a document. I have access to a document where there was the Portuguese, either Portuguese or Dutch or English, one of them, explorers in Benin, and the person had seen that the Africans had their own guns. They had made their own guns. And they asked, it was Portuguese. No, it was English. No, it was Portuguese, Pereira, something like that. I think it was Portuguese. So this Portuguese man had seen that they had made guns, and he asked, "Where did you guys get these guns? Did you buy this from another group of white men?" He said, "No, we got this from the people of Unkwere," right? Because Ogadazo came down from the hill and had the ofo of smithing, ofonka, and he passed it to the people of Unkwere, and now it is a part of their community inheritance, right? That particular knowledge. But in order for me to be a smith, I would have to reconnect to that spirit, right? That brought that thing to us, and pay my homage to that spirit and respect that spirit. And when I have a feud with another smith, we gather and we meet, or we gather and we seek that spirit for intervention, for solving the problem or keeping us together, so on and so forth, right? Reaching resolution or finding justice, so on and so forth. That type of thing. Right, we both go to Amazon HQ because the box fell on my foot and they're trying to fire me because now I'm limping, right? That kind of thing. So you look around the world and you look at the things that people say are irrational or don't exist or fake or make pretend, that kind of thing. And then you consider how much of the world is us pretending and playing with the inexistent, right? And then, if you're watching any of my videos, or, I mean, there's other people creating content like this, right? Wait, Igbos made guns. Yes, Igbos made guns before the arrival of the Europeans, though the Europeans, of course, introduced the guns to them, and then they found out how to make them themselves, that kind of thing. So people always tell this story about Africa being colonized because the Europeans had guns and the Africans didn't have guns because they've been watching too much Shaka Zulu, right? And that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. The whole of West Africa and much of Central Africa had guns. They had guns, they had cannons, they had crossbows, they had a lot of different things that would blow your mind if you knew that they had it. I'm currently working on a documentary for the Ekumeku Resistance. The Ekumeku Resistance was a 30-year guerrilla war against the British in what is now known as Anyama, which is in Western Igbo land, west of the Niger River, right? They fought the British for 30 years, and then by the end of the fight, the British kind of started leaving Nigeria anyways, because basically because it was too much of a headache. But which it hasn't changed at all now. I think Shell Oil has announced it's leaving Nigeria because it's not worth the problems and headache and that type of thing. So to say it's like our superpower to be really obnoxious. So during this conflict, the issue wasn't that the Europeans had guns and the Africans didn't have guns. In fact, one of the communities nearby, Abo, was famous because it had canoes with cannons, had cannon canoes. And they would sail up to your community and shell the hell out of you and then dip off and that kind of thing. So that was all present in Africa at that time, right? When the British went to raid Benin, they were faced with snipers. They had snipers, right? Without question, unless I haven't looked at East Asia, but I have the earliest accounts of trench warfare, and it's all in West Africa, right? It's all in West Africa, that kind of thing. So all these things were there. The difference maker was that the British and the Europeans, the British specifically, British and the French, right, had what's called the Maxim machine gun, which was the atomic bomb of its time. Right? So the Maxim machine gun, you can just sit down and turn it on and shoot people for 10 minutes straight, continuously, nonstop, and wipe out a whole village, right? So once the British, because again, European, when people say colonial, pre-colonial, I don't like those terms anymore. I've moved away from those terms. And the reason I don't like those terms is because colonial is very vague. It's very vague. It's hard to say when it began. It's hard to say when it ended, if it has ended, right? So it's vague and it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything at all. But for a good 400 years, during the entire period of the slave trade, Europeans were constantly trying to make incursions into Africa, right? If you read about the Ashanti Anglo Wars, I'm going to give a rough number, between 80 to 100, I believe, years. I could be wrong on the numbers, but it's over 50. Let me say that, right? Between 80 to 100 years of continuous fighting with the Ashanti, right? What finally made the difference was that the machine gun was invented. And then they can move in, right? They got that one drop on. You get that one drop, and then they just move in. So it wasn't a matter of they came, these guys had guns, these guys didn't have guns. They both had guns on both ends. And many communities till this day are renowned for gunsmithing and gun making, right? In Nigeria, if you want to buy a gun, they'll say, do you want the local or do you want the foreign, right? That kind of thing. And don't ask me why, I know. But they'll ask you if you want the local or if you want the foreign. And the local one's a gun made locally, foreign's the one that is foreign, that kind of thing. So they had guns. But that being said, anyways, returning back to the primary subject, which is that there's spirit work everywhere, right? The people who, let me put it this way, the people who excel in the world or who understand the mechanics of the world understand that it is a two-pronged system of the visible and the invisible, the mundane and the spiritual, right? And they learn to operate and play with both. And in being able to operate and play with both, you have an advantage over the ofeke, or those who do not know. African-made guns, Europeans made better guns. Yeah, that's true. Where we at? The Igbos had some advance. Yes, they did. Wait, they made guns. Sounds like Prometheus. Oh, yeah, the story. Uchechi says that the story of Ogarazu sounds like Prometheus. Yes, there's a lot of them. So the community of Oka has the exact same story. A person comes down from the hill. Unkwere has the exact same thing. A person comes down from the hill, teaches them this thing. But the oldest ironsmithing site in the world is in Leja, Enugu. Enugu means on top of the hill, right? For context. Enugu's in the hills. So I think that the people from that Leja Nsuka area into Okigwe, right? Okigwe and Okigwe, I could be wrong, but Oka Igwe sounds like it smiths metal, or they smith metal. Oka Igwe, but I could be wrong, could be something else. But Okigwe and into Ugwele, all these communities are high elevation communities, and they were all have the oldest signs of craftsmanship and ironsmithing in the world. And yes, I said craftsmanship and ironsmithing in the world. And so if you have these stories, people come down from the hill and teach them, it makes perfect sense, because geographically, Oka, this is for people that kind of know Igbo land well or interested in geography. Oka is right before the elevation starts climbing back into Enugu, that kind of thing. In fact, it's changed now because the Nigerian government redrew the state lines and people are into arbitrary things. But they used to call Waka people Wawa. So those who are Igbo will know. But they used to call them Wawa, and Wawa is almost like it's a people from Enugu. So that's what they call people from Enugu. But anyways, that's a whole different thing. So look around you, right? All of these things are happening around you. If you ever see a swearing into office, right? A political swearing into office. If you ever see any type of repeated ceremony or ritual, a pledge of allegiance, all of these different things, they're not being done out of ignorance. They're not being done out of habit, and they are absolutely very deliberate and as important as whatever the hell happens afterwards, right? Because the world exists in two spaces. And one of the ways you operate in the unseen is through repetition and ritual. It's through repetition and ritual, right? And so when you see, because spirits, if I have a video called More Explained, right? Go back and watch that video and be thinking of a company while you're watching it, right? Because I made the video, I didn't think about this, and I thought about it, I was like, oh shit. Think about a company afterwards, right? Just think about a company, right? And then watch it. And you'll see, oh, that's same general setup, right, of how to animate all these human beings and all these things and so on and so forth, right, that kind of thing. And then the AK Explained too will also make you look like a factory, all these things, right? But yeah, so we do it all the time. We operate in both spaces. If one person tells you the other one is real, you got to ask that person, why is Pennsylvania real, right? Why is Ukraine real? Why is Nigeria real? Why are all these things, what makes those things real and something else not real, right? Now, a bunch of people came and put intention into one place, and all of a sudden it became real, and it animates movement, and it's as real as you and me. And in fact, we can die and that thing can continue. So it might even be realer than us, right? We have a limited space and time here, right, in this form, that type of thing. And then this thing is going to proceed after me, and it's going to be acknowledged as a real thing, and it's going to animate movement and have the same level, more effect than I'll have and all these other people will have, right? But I'm real and that's not real, that kind of thing, right? So there's a spark of the unseen animating those things that was harnessed by human beings, and it is used to animate armies. It is used to animate companies. It is used to animate teams. It is used to animate families, right? And then there is the spark of the unseen that animates me as a human being, right? That makes me.
Mommy's drink.
Have I seen Mommy's drink?
Uh-huh.
No, I haven't seen it. Are you looking for it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, no problem.
I need help looking for it.
You need help? Okay, when I'm done with my live, I'll come help you look
But
for
I
it.
need help.
I have to finish my live, okay? Boy, stressed out, man. Now you close the door, okay? All right. So yeah, there's a spark of the unseen animating all these things that we readily acknowledge, and there's a spark of unseenness animating and moving me through life and giving me this thing I call life and sentience and awareness and identity and being, right? And we operate it with the acknowledgement of that spark until it's time to say it's not real, right? Until it's time to say it's not real. So that's really all I wanted to say today, y'all. Wait, where are we going through? The Matrix? Yes, the Matrix is a good example. Let's see here. Book of Enoch, fallen angels have knowledge of the gun. Yeah, I think Azazel. I think the angel that had the knowledge of the weapons was Azazel. I've been looking into the Book of Enoch and the Book of. I love the Book of Solomon. That is one of the best, coolest stories ever told. I love that shit. Be aware when people talk about spirits and demons and all these things, pay attention to their attributes and then take a look and see what looks like that or where else you see these attributes appear and operate, right? Take a look at that and see where else does this archetype exist. If I say Amadioha and I give you all of the attributes of Amadioha, who did I just describe? Then it'll click, right? It'll click. Wow, I'm from Inquere and never knew this. Yes, Inquere has a very long history of smithing and I think spying. I think Inquere also, I read somewhere, I only have one source for it, so I try not to say things I got from only one source. But spying and smithing were specialties of Umkwere people. There, but if you go now, they'll probably tell you that you guys are from Israel. There's an estimated 1 million slaves in Nigeria and white people. What about that? Matifi, I don't know what you're talking about. Maxim and Vickers machine gun conquered Africa. Absolutely. Europeans are no change, no goodies there. We definitely need to make them now at an industrial level and teach that skill to prosperity. Yeah. Malcolm, you saying some real stuff, man. You saying the type of real stuff that might get this channel shut down, man. But you're right. Was it before China? Yes, the ironsmithing sites in Leja are older than anything in China. If that's what we're talking about. And the gun, no, it's not before China. China was first. To everybody's knowledge, China was first. Sorry, I didn't answer your question. I didn't see it until Derek answered it. Okay, bet. Matrix, oh yes, and I'm Morpheus. Real talk. He is Morpheus too. Real talk. We are still waiting for your lecture on spirit spouses. Yes, that one is coming. The spirit spouse one is coming. But and now that we're talking about seeing these things all around you, right? Let me just give a hint as to something I'm going to talk about in the video. Maybe I shouldn't. Okay, I will. This spirit spouse thing doesn't always happen by accident. Sometimes you choose it, right? Sometimes you choose it. Sometimes you get married to a spirit by choice. You understand? And it's not as mystical as I'm making it sound. Sometimes you marry a spirit by choice, and then you get confused as to why you can't find a partner, right? Why you can't find a partner. Oh, why can't I find a husband? Oh, no girls like me. No girls like me. Incel. I'm an incel. MGTOW. I'm a MGTOW. You understand? Maybe you have married one of the many spirit wives that our internet presents on a regular basis. Maybe you have married one of the many spirit husbands. I know one spirit husband that's got a couple of young heterosexual women spouseless in the game, right? Spouseless in the game. So that's something I'm going to talk about in that video. That it's not because the traditionally identified, I guess that's the term I'll use, the traditionally identified spirit spouse is the one that latches on in your process of reincarnation. But you can come into the world without one and then pick one, because the world offers them all the time. The world offers them all the time because it's very profitable. All right, that being said, this strategic forced amnesia of African life before 1900 can be overwhelming. It's insane, isn't it, Chica? It is insane. But do you know what? It's not as bad as you'd think. I used to think it was bad, so I started talking to the right people, right? It's going to sound funny, but it's worse for educated Africans than non-educated Africans. For some reason. It's worse for educated Africans than non-educated Africans. The non-educated people often, right, especially if they're if they're older, know these things. And they'll give you insights on them that would blow your mind. But they don't know that they know something that is a historic rarity. Like when I was doing my Usu Explained documentary, I spoke to a lot of elders, and they were telling me things that would kind of change how human history is told, as far as Africa, that is. But they were not wrong, right? They were not wrong. Some of it may offend people, so I'm gonna wait for the right time, right? But they were telling me some things I was like, holy shit, like, wow, really? Oh, okay, that makes sense, that kind of thing. And the reason I knew they were right is because once they put that thing there, all of a sudden, all these other puzzle pieces started to connect and make sense. So the amnesia is worse for educated Africans. That's why, like, oftentimes when you're doing research, it is good to look at like researchers and academics and things like that, but a lot of them have a limitation, which is that they think they're looking at culture and anthropology, right? And so they limit the extent by which they can understand some of these things, right? Like I've seen a document on Obanje, and the person was saying, oh, this community believes in Obanje, this community believes in Obanje. I'm going to go see what Obanje is. I did a study to find that most of the children being called Obanje had, was it the sickle cell trait? And they were dying early because of sickle cell, da 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 da. But I got a cousin who's not the best educated person in the world who's an Obanje, and everybody knows it, and they say this person's she's Obanje, that kind of thing. So she ain't got no sickle cell, right? That's not what was going on. But the person was like, he came in there with his academic thinking, like, oh, these people are saying something. They're not as educated as I am, so they're probably misconceiving or misconstruing something that can be easily explained by science. And so they go into the community and they easily explain it with science, and they walk off with half a story. So now you get floating all over the internet. And the internet, I hate to say this, but the internet becomes particularly dangerous because they have a monopoly of the internet. They're the ones who know how to type and write and that kind of thing, right? And they put their misconception on the internet, or not always a misconception, but a half conception. Because yes, a lot of people being called Obanje were children that had different illnesses, right? One of the symptoms for Obanje is chronic illness when you're young, regular chronic illness when you're young. It's not all Obanje, but it's some, right? So it's usually educated people. And you'll see this very intensely in Nigeria, right? When, well, no, you see it in America too, but if I said it, they'd delete my channel. Because y'all want to talk about North Korea. But yeah, but you see it a lot in Nigeria because a lot of the academic documents will start with the Igbo people are a group in southeast Nigeria numbering between 20 to 40 million people. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, who are you telling this, right? And then you trace the origin of that. It's like, oh, this is what the colonial letters used to look like. Okay, the queen sent me here on a contract. In order for me to renew my contract, I have to send back valuable information and valuable goods. So I'm going to explain to her what I'm doing here and who these people are. The Igbos are da-da-da-da, but you're sitting at the University of Nsukka, you're sitting at Funto, you're sitting at goddamn Ojukwu University, and you are writing about the Igbos or da-da-da-da-da, like every single time. So you know that there's a limitation, right? There's a limitation, and they're the ones that have that amnesia, but they're the ones that have monopoly of mass media. So it seems like there's an amnesia. But if you go talk to that very, 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 very old woman, right? There's this old woman, there's a video, I'm trying to remember the channel that posted it, all right? And it's probably one, it's probably a channel that I randomly, sometimes people start channels and I randomly find out they have like beef with me, but so it's probably one of those. But he posted a video. It was an interview with an old woman. They asked, who's Amadioha? And she said, this is Amadioha. Everything's Amadioha. These ones are Amadioha. This is Amadioha. She's explaining these things, but then if you go to the academics, Amadioha is the god of thunder, right? The Igbo god of thunder, right? And so then you look at the name Amadioha, the man of the people, the landlord or the lord of the people, the man of the people, the collective will of the people. All of this is Amadioha, right? Then you go to the Oza society, and you know that the highest level that you can reach is Oha, right? I'm saying it wrong. Oha. I'm not Oha. And Oha is the people. It means the people. And no human being can reach that because the will of the people is supreme, right? And so this old woman tells you that this, all of us, we are Amadioha. And another guy tells you it's the Igbo god of thunder. And so, yeah, the amnesia comes from the academic end, right? The people that are less educated tend to know a little bit more, right? That kind of thing. It's unfortunate too, right? The Leja Ironworks site estimated 4,000 years old, maybe. Kind of random, but are there any female debias? Yeah, female debia is an is and why. And is and why. That is the term, is and why, right? Is and why is like authority woman, a woman who's an authority on something. So yeah, it's super common, very, 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 very common. Willing to say that in the past they were probably closer to 50% or the majority, right? That is a yes, they're called is and why. Thank you, Ross. Man, Ross is killing the game. Ignorance is bliss. World runs off of bliss. The Ebos, yeah. Udochi said the Ebos. Yeah. Missionary activities. I don't know what Habari is. You will find contemporary scientific information hidden in African spirituality. Yes. The culture, and we are failing to investigate and make more of this. Malcolm, hi, biataoji, igade, igeto, nkobala itiri aka no wa ogade. That did not naked, no real, not for and unquo, non-quo. He said, all right, yeah, thank you so much for what you just said, Malcolm. Phenomenal. Hello, where how did the quote? The Igbo pantheon. Eden Mili is the Igbo god of water. I saw one post the other day that said that Anna is the goddess of the earth. Then you ask that same person, how do you say earth in Igbo? They will then say Anna. So which one is which? Because goddess of the earth is almost like, like Voltron, or like maybe the Power Rangers, and he had the green, like he had his robot, and then the green one would jump in there and he'd fight. Like you're describing Anna as the little thing driving the bigger thing. That's not what's going on. And when you know that, you look at Greek mythology, way different, right? Because there's this, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like almost like a deliberate, not a deliberate, but a presumed ignorance that these people are saying these things because they don't know something, right? And if you move past that presumed ignorance, there's so much knowledge and wisdom and things that you can find inside of there, right? So people talk about, oh man, Zeus was a man whore. Zeus was sleeping with everyone, all that stuff, there's something being communicated there. There's something being communicated there, right? I don't think everybody's ready for that, so I'll save that for. I'll say that later. But there's something being. Why does this archetype do that? Oh, maybe this isn't just an entertaining story. Maybe something's being said here, because these people, maybe when this story was made, they didn't have writing, and the best way to put it together was to think of something clever, right? Like, what's an example? If I was that the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy brown moose or dog, whatever it is. The thing they use for, like, you put every single letter in the alphabet into a word, that kind of thing, right? And then somebody digs it up 3,000 years later and say that these people believe that there was a fox who jumped. No, that's not what was going on, bro. Right? That's not what was going on. So there's that. Yeah, the Igbo pantheon. Wasn't Zeus also just their word for sky? If I remember, I don't know. It could be. I would not be surprised. I literally would not be surprised. But I think Zeus is their word for God, because if you go into like the Indo-European like languages, like where they all root from, there is like a Deus, Zeus, Jesus. That D-I-E-D-I, or that us, that something us sound tends to allude to God in those cultures, right? And by I mean those cultures, I mean Dwight people, right? All those cultures. That sound usually alludes to God in an ancient way, and it always has very specific characteristics, and there's always a relationship, not always, but typically a relationship with like a cow, right? Just different things like that, right? There's it's always that. But what is interesting is that Amadioha, right? If you think about Amadioha, one of the names for Amadioha is Igwe, and Igwe just means sky. Igwe is just sky, right? Igwe is just sky, that kind of thing. I mean, there's more to the word Igwe, but it means sky, that type of thing. So I'm trying to think of other ones that have that meaning where it's very literal. It's like, no, I'm not talking about a character that drives the robot called Sky. I'm actually talking about the sky itself, right? And now you understand that, you can now start looking at what I'm saying way differently. You understand? Are Igbo oracles strictly female, or are they also male ones? So that's a super good question. The female Igbo oracle and male oracle ones. So typically, most Arushi oracles, whatever you want to call them, are going to be female. Now, why are they typically going to be female? Because the thing that we're trying to channel is the omumu of that thing. So all things are coming to creation with a masculine energy and a feminine energy. The masculine energy is the ikenga. The feminine is the omo or the omomo energy, right? And so when you think of what each of those do, most communities find the omomo energy to be the one that is necessary for survival, the one that is necessary for sustaining a community, so on and so forth. So it ends up being the case that the female ones are more sought after typically. And then on top of that, most things that have physical form are seen as female. Most things that have physical form are seen as female. The universe itself is female. So if you bump into one male force, you're going to bump into about 10 female ones. So it's just like, for example, now, I'm looking around me right now. I see sky, which our ancestors identify as feminine, but the moon is up somewhere, that or masculine. The moon is up there somewhere, that is identified as feminine. The earth is identified as feminine. I'm sure there's water somewhere around here that's identified as feminine. So on and so forth. So you see what I'm saying, right? Most of the things that you're going to interface with are going to be feminine, in the physical world, that kind of thing. But the omomo is what makes the most arushi valuable, or not valuable, but what makes them. That's the core of their power is the omomo, right? Now, if I am trying to channel ikenga, it is usually for a limited objective. We are going on a journey. We are going to war. We are going to lose weight. We are going to learn how to box. I've been trying to learn how to box. We are going to make videos for the medicine show. Those then channel the ikenga, the masculine energy, right? But if I create a company called Amazon, right, it is the omomo that is really going to get me there. And a lot of times we get told it's the ikenga that gets you there, but it's really the omomo. So I have a video called Omomo Explained. It is the feminine seat of power. And hopefully, I hoped putting that video out would kind of slow down the amount of young ladies that ask me if they have an ikenga too. It's like, yes, you have an ikenga, but that is not your seat of power. You have something else, and that is actually where your power is going to come from. And you can ikenga it up all you want, but if you get... Let me chill, man. You can ikenga it up all you want, but your actual seat of power is something else. So go look at that something else. What happens is, I want to say it was Chika that said this, with the collective amnesia. One of the worst spaces for collective amnesia, or this collective amnesia, which I love the term, is in things that pertain to women, especially spirituality, especially Igbo spirituality. If it pertains to women, that is what is in danger. All of the male stuff is well understood, well known, and still, like, you can go get your chieftaincy title. Everybody knows what ikenga is. You know, all the male stuff is the feminine things. All gongo, all momo, all these different things. Those are the ones that are gradually sliding into obscurity, right? I got my reasons for it, but I'm sure y'all do too. Deus, yes, Deus, Zeus, exactly. Udochi, you got it. Zeus comes from the Indo-European word for father. Okay, yes, father or father, pitar, all these different. Yeah. You're right, 100%. Please, if you find the channel of the woman talking about Amadio, I will look for it, but the owner of the channel may have deleted the video. So I'll check for it. I'll definitely check for it. And whoever this is, message me. If you don't message me, I'm not going to remember. So message me, hey, I want to see the video of that woman. I'll send it to you. All right. I love resources from the horse's mouth. Most of my own older family don't like discussing Igbo cosmology. Why do you guys say that? I don't know. That is unfortunate. Might have to step outside of the family, go talk to the townspeople, you know. But I don't know. There's people. They'll talk about it. Just ask them. They'll talk about it. But yeah, I actually wonder if identifying things as feminine and masculine like that, why so many European languages ended up with gendered nouns. Yeah, I think so. I think. Oh yeah, big part. Big. I think so. Big time. You know, but the good white people at Stanford are battling with the Hispanic community over the term Latinx. I always find that beef hilarious. Because you'll see one well-meaning person say Latinx, and a whole bunch of Mexicans just cracking at that. Wait, what the hell's man? You know, which if you were to say in Spanish, it would be Latinx. There's no X in Spanish, right? But it's whatever. Latinx. Yes. Most don't understand the anthropomorphic symbols, especially African culture. This is that Greeks and their folklore connections to seasons and astrology. You got it, Malcolm Lawson. Hello, I'm new to your channel. Is the last name Ane? Oh, Ane Quincy connected to? Yes. Oh wow, what a great name. Very cool. Ane Quincy. That means the Earth Mother, the Earth, will protect me from juju, will protect me from poison, will protect me from that whole thing, bad magic, whatever you want to call it, bad transmutation. Ikenga Nation, shout out to Udochi. Ikenga Nation gave me the definition for as anything that causes transmutation. That is brilliant. So it is saying that the earth protects me from that particular thing. That's what that name means. You don't see names like that too often anymore. It's a beautiful name. That's a beautiful name. So yeah, guys, I may have to wrap it on up. I might have to wrap it up. I want to ask you guys any more questions. The Ikenga gets it done. The Almomo is the result. Wonderful. Chianeke. Awesome. Perfect. So, your name is hard to spell. What the hell? That kind of thing. Okay, guys. Oh, wait. There's somebody about coffee or something. How do you identify the spirit of your craft? It is not as hard as you think. It's whoever brought that craft into the world or whoever brought that craft to you, right? So, for example, if I want to... For example, with the craft I'm doing now, oh no, I guess no, I use Agu. So I'm trying to think of like a more secular one, right? That isn't as that kind of thing, you know? It's like how a lot of leftists or like left-leaning people, have a veneration for Marx, right? And so when they want to say that something is true and exact based on what they're speaking of, they'll go to Marx, right? Or like 5%ers may reference Clarence 13X, Allah, if somebody who's into hip hop might go back to Kool Herc, may somehow honor and venerate Kool Herc. Someone like KRS-One would definitely do something like that, right? Not necessarily everybody does it, but you build that connection with that spirit. Like I'm stepping into your house. I respect you for that kind of thing, You see that with a lot of martial arts and like East Asian things, that kind of thing. You'll have the master who founded the school, their big picture, and then everybody's training under them, that type of thing. And you bow when you see the person's picture. You're always giving honor to whichever vessel that the universe used to bring this thing into the world, right? So to identify that, you go back to the origin of your craft. You go back to the origin of what you do or the person who brought it to you. Because, for example, Ogada Azun was not the first smith, but it was the smith that made it possible for the Inkwere people to do smithing, right? So for this, we venerate that person, right? If I am a Black American or just a human, if I'm a human and I am in the biodiesel industry, I'm going to venerate the spirit of George Washington Carver, right? They always try he made peanut butter. That's what they always try to tell you. He made peanut butter, and not ethanol and all the other stuff, just peanut butter, So if I'm going into biodiesels and biofuels and all these different things, I might start looking at George Washington Carver in a different way. I might put his picture up, and I may give him a bow or give him something before I start my workday, right? That type of thing. So yeah. Does numerology exist in Odinala? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Shanbray, I spoke. I'm probably saying your name wrong. Shanbray. I don't know. So, I mean, no disrespect. But yes, it does. Yes, it does. I spoke about it earlier in the stream, so you can watch it over to see. But I will make a video on numerology. So, like, the way I know what video I'm going to make next is I'll look at all the comments, then I'll take the ones that are popular and put it up for vote on Patreon. And so, patrons, there's a vote coming up soon. That kind of thing. You remember what Derek was saying about the cola breaking? Awesome. So, Carver, Enugu has an oracle. The traditionalists there can answer questions. The ones exactly. Yeah, I mean, I ask these people questions. Y'all can ask them questions too. You know, if your dad's not cool with it, I'm not disrespecting anybody. By the way, I'm a laugher, so if you're not laughing with me, you should turn off the stream. But you know, if your dad is, you know, heavy on his Catholic thing, you know, just go. The Dibias and the Inzes and the Ozos, they're all alive and well, and there's an Irishi in your community. You can go talk to those people. They hang out there, you know. You can go talk to them. They'll break all this down for you from beginning to end. They'll tell you things that I haven't told you yet, but then there'll be things I'll tell you that they can't tell you. So that kind of thing. Is there something spiritual about the Ada of the family? Oh, yes. The Ada is a very spiritual position. The Ada is a very, very spiritual position. The Ada and the Okpara are priests and priestesses. The Ada and the Okpara are priests and priestesses. I sound like Umar Johnson. The Ada and the Okpara are priests and priestesses. And it said very generously, that is. So the Ada, like, for example, if there was some type of crime committed by the family or abomination committed by the family, one of the people who would clear the area of the abomination and be safe would be the Ada. After the Ada would be like the Osu, people who we call Osu, or Aros, maybe some people from Arochukwu, different communities, things like that. But very specifically, the Ada plays a lot of that role in the family. The Ada is also the one, like, for example, when I do speak of my ancestors, I speak about my male line, my father's line, that kind of thing. The Ada would do the same for her father's female line, that kind of thing. So, yeah, the Ada is a very powerful position. You're also when the brothers get into disputes, or when there's disputes in the family, you are one of the people who serve as a judge. You bring them together and you help them reach a resolution, that kind of thing. So the Ada is a very, very, very powerful position. Very powerful position. Yeah, shit ain't no joke. I think my brain is distinguishing. Okay. Big ups to you. You have studied Clarence 13, Cool Herc. Oh yeah, all day. What? Peace, God. Yeah, all day. There's a channel. I want y'all to bombard him too. I want to invite him to talk because I used to watch his channel before I started mine, and I definitely would consider it inspiration because it was just a guy sharing what he knew, and I thought that was really cool. And there I go forgetting his name. Saladin Allah. I'm gonna ask him if he can come on here and speak about the 5%, a little bit. Saladin Allah is his name. So look for his channel, tag him in this, bombard him, try to get his attention. I don't know how to reach out to other YouTube people, right? Or other like internet people. I don't know how to do. It's not a skill of mine, right? And so I don't know. Tag him. I don't know how the thing gets done. You know, but do that because sometimes I'll send an email and this shit just maybe no response or whatever. So it's whatever. But yeah, not that I've emailed this guy, but yeah, Saladin Allah. He's a scholar in what the 5%. Let's call it cosmology. Yeah. So Greeks literally stole their knowledge from Africa. Everything, if they interpret it right, LOL. Was reading that people simply lived archetypes while in the modern crisis requires analysts due to disconnection from self. Yeah, Chick, if you can elaborate on what you're saying, I'd appreciate that. That sounds interesting, but I'm not understanding. Queer Mexicans created Latinx. Okay, didn't know that. It's kind of meant to be confusing, but I trust y'all to do your own research. I'll look it up. Cool. Are you Igbo? Because every time I see the Mexican people, let me say Hispanic in general, but I think yeah, they're always saying that y'all made this up, you know. So it's a funny fight. Yeah. So I gotta think. You know supreme mathematics? Yeah, I think so. Knowledge, understanding. Wait, no, my bad. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, power, um, equality, God, build, born. No, build slash destroy, then born, right? And then, of course, you'd play with that cycle. I listen to hella Wu-Tang, man. It's impossible for me not to know that. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I know it. Um, I I don't know all of 120, but I've looked at it and I've learned from it. You know, I can quickly say, oh, the sun is 93 million miles away from the Earth. I don't have the total square mileage of the Earth memorized. I always find those things very, very, very powerful and interesting, right? Very powerful and interesting. So it's a phenomenal science. My great grandfather was a seer, herbalist. Does that gift cross over to descendants, especially female ones? Yes, yes, it does. Nigga, Matifi has not done his DNA test. Matifi might be part Czechoslovakian. All right, guys, it's time for me to wrap it up, man. So thank you guys for being here. Matifi, tell us where you're from. I'm trying to remember the country. I think it's in like Mediterranean area, like Eastern Europe, Mediterranean area. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. So everybody who's in here, thank you very much for coming. It's time for me to wrap it up. How do you talk to Ani? We'll talk about that some other day. Check out my Anna explain video and then my how to pray video. My how to pray video. But it's all there, right? But your town is probably definitely going to have a shrine to her that you can visit. If you want to talk to her in your own time, they have methods for that too. So that being said, I'm going to wrap things up. So you guys being here does a lot for the channel. You guys hitting the like button does a lot for the channel. Matifi said Finland. Oh my God, I was way off. Okay. I was way off. Funny enough, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the Biafra national anthem is the Finnish national anthem, right? And it sounds weird, but it makes sense. But the Biafra national anthem was the Finnish, either national anthem or some type of Finnish fight song. And the reason for that is because the Biafrans were inspired. I mean, Matifi may not be from Finland, so I might just tell you about Finland, people from Finland being cool for no reason. But I'm going to go for it. But the reason for that was the Biafrans, Ojukwu and them, were inspired by how the Finnish fought off or held off the Russians, who were an overwhelming force and were slated. It was just everybody's like, okay, they're going to mow over Finland. That type of thing was an overwhelming force, and they used very intelligent guerrilla tactics to hold off and defeat the Russians. So they're inspired by that, and they said, we're going to use that song. We're going to use the moi of that event and that kind of thing. Yes, Finland. What is your Instagram if you like to talk? Okay, cool. So is it possible forming a community with a view of raising awareness of Igbo cosmology, as we need to ensure that this knowledge does not stop in our generation? Fred, you lead the way, I will step in. If you lead the way, I will step in. If that spark came to you, it came to you for a reason. It came to you for a reason. So you lead the way, I'll do what I can. Let me know what I can do, and I'll support that very noble cause, because I agree that it needs to exist, right? So that being said, if you guys want to support the channel, the easiest way to support the channel is by hitting the like button, which I see that 31 of you have done, and there's only 30 of you in there. So shout out to Ndimo for contributing one like. Another way you can support the channel is by sharing these videos. So if you watch a video, you're interested, you think it's interesting, and you know somebody that might be interested in, send it to them. Put it in your WhatsApp group, put it in your Facebook group, put it in the group chat, that kind of thing. That does a lot for the channel, because a lot of people come to me and say, oh, my friend, this person sent me this video. My son sent me this video. My cousin sent me, that kind of thing. So continue doing that. It helps a lot. The best way to help the channel is by joining the Patreon at patreon.com/the medicine shell. Earlier, somebody, I think it was Matifi, asked me how I know all this stuff. One of the ways I know all this stuff, other than Ago and my chi, is the library that I've put together. So all of the research articles and books, documents, everything I get my hands on, I put it inside the library so that everybody can read and learn from it the way I learn from it. And you can verify what I'm saying. You know, I might be saying something like, I don't know, it sounds like some bullshit. And then maybe I'm talking about Idem Millie. You go to the Idem Millie folder or the Nem Millie folder, and you see it right there in two places. I always try to make sure I see something in two places before I start talking about it. So it's all there. I think we're up to like 300-ish, 400-ish documents. I haven't read them all, but whenever I'm researching, what I'll do, this is a hint for all the patrons if you want to like kind of research quicker. I'll go to the search bar, I'll type in the word I'm researching, and it'll show me every single document that says something about it. Right? Every single document says something about, and some of them are duplicates. So like sometimes I'll read something and I forgot that I like read it before, or I've already saved it, and then I'll go save it and I'll go look and I have like 3 versions of the same document. I try to clear them out when I see them, but most of them are original, right? So I do that and then I go through and that kind of thing. So that's how I research. That's one of the ways I research. And so forth. So that library is available. It has rare books, first-hand historical documents, things presented by Inzes and Dibias and Alzaz and people who are actually entrenched in and living the culture. And it is itemized by topic, so it's easy to sift through. All that is available at patreon.com/the medicine shell. I also give patrons my Odinani calendar, my Igbo calendar, right? So the Igbo calendar is 13 moons, right? It is 13 moons and 4 days instead of 7. So it's Eke Orie Afo and Nkwo instead of Moon's Day, Twee's Day, well, who's the W? I think Woden's Day, Thor's Day, Frigg's Day, Saturn's Day, and Sun's Day, right? Instead of those days, it is Eke, Urie, Afo, and Nkwo. See how smooth that one came out, right? So you can know which day it is. That's very important for manifestation, prayer, any work that you're doing. The day you do it on is very important. So our ancestors believe that the day you were born is your ahia, your market, right? So if I'm born on Afo Day, then whatever I speak into the universe on Afo Day is going to have more gravity. It's going to have more gravity. If I was born on Eke, my Eke Day manifestations are going to have more gravity, so on and so forth. And then also certain moons have certain observances. And so all that is on the calendar at patreon.com/the medicine shell. Patreon.com/the medicine shell. Also, I said this earlier, I just want to do a reminder. We are wrapping up enrollment for Kedu. So we have a big summer class, and I want to first and foremost thank everybody that's registered. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. The last day of the spring, which was just our first session, which was in the spring, I was almost in tears at the end of it. It was very heartfelt. I'm saving the video just because I don't know, it was really nice. But we all watched the movie together. It was good times. But anyways, yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with the summer session because it's a big class, and I know some of the people in there already, and I know that it's gonna be really interesting. So enroll. If you're trying to learn Igbo this summer, go to www.kedu.me, kedu.me, right? And sign up. There's a survey there so you can see what level you're at. So some of you can hear Igbo, but you can't speak it. Some of you can speak Igbo, but can't hear it. I don't know how that happens. Some of you have never heard the language before in your life, but you'd be interested in starting, to learn and that kind of thing. By the time you're done with Igbo 1, you should be able to speak Igbo, right? You can ask anybody that's taken Igbo 1, and they'll tell you, yeah, I can speak, Hanamasu, that kind of thing. Igbo 2 is where I need to be, which is where we fix pronunciation and make it more smooth and natural and that kind of thing. So all of those courses and levels are available. If you don't have time for like a full course, which is like 3 days a week, you can do a language coach. And the language coach is somebody that calls you regularly and you guys have conversation. They're in Nigeria. Shout out to Drew if you're watching, though I don't think she is, probably asleep. She'll call you yeah, she'll call you. You guys will have conversations. She'll walk you through, teach you how to do it. So that by the time you're done with a language coach, you can at least have a basic introductory conversation. My name is this person. I did this today. I want to do this. I want to do that. This is my opinion on this. This is my opinion on that. You'll know that by that. You'll know how to do that by the end of the language coach. And then if you have kids and you want them to learn, we have courses for them as well. So all this is available at www.kedu.me. It is a lot of fun. It is a safe space. It is a safe space where you can learn the language and make mistakes, and you're not going to get the classical rudeness that is normal with our culture, right? As far as people trying to learn languages, right? And it's not a malicious rudeness. It's just that we don't have, in our culture, there's no such thing as I'm shy or I'm nervous, right? So if you make a mistake, somebody's like, no, that's not, you walk out, hey, you've gained weight. What's wrong? Like, Jesus, you're fat. What's wrong? It's not malicious, but it is rude to an American ear. So it's a safe space, none of that going on. Kedu.me. That being said, guys, I'm gonna see if you guys got any final questions. Also, kind of random, how's Screw doing? Screw's doing awesome. Last time we spoke, I was driving up. I've made 2 trips from Houston to where I'm at. It's like a several hour, basically a 1-day drive. And I was talking to him on the phone for a good portion of it, and I literally feel like I teleported from one state, like I teleported 2 states, because anytime I talk to him, it's always a very intense debate, right? A very intense debate. Screw can argue, and he'll say I can argue, that I like to argue, and I'll say he likes to argue. And it'll always be about the most random, useless thing on God's. I think one time we were arguing who won the beef or the battle between Drake and Pusha T, which I think is a given, right? But he had a different take on it, and that shit was epic. And Thanksgivings are always insane. I have another brother that has YouTube too. Queso is his name. Queso the Big Dipper. So go check out his channel as well. We're all up on YouTube doing pretty different things, I think. But yeah, so the last time I spoke to Screw, the argument got so intense, and it wasn't like a malicious or bad, it was just like, that's just how he is, that I feel like I teleported 2 states. So anytime I'm traveling, I'm going to call him and get him to argue about something, because it helps. Who else has something? Finland, Instagram. Is it possible for me? Okay, we said that. Screw Eastern Europe. I was right. It's not Finland. It's Eastern Europe. People went to war like they go nowadays in Ukraine. Exactly. Estonia. I was closer to being right. I said Czechoslovakia. I was wrong. But anyways, yeah. Uno gade. Uno geto. New Tiriaka. All got in a while. The boss man says, "What's up, bro? Hey, what's going on, boss man? How you doing?" All got did no neke, nori, nafo, nankwo. He said, what is the meaning of Chinesom? Yes, thank you, Udochi. Thank you very much for that. All right, guys, take care. You guys take care. If anybody has questions or want to reach out and anything like that, just message me on Instagram, so on and so forth. If there's anything I said I'm going to do for you, I'm not going to remember it after this, so message me or else it's not going to be done. Take care, guys.